We are live. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I am your host, Blake Ruffino. This is Are You Serious Sports? Hope all of you are making it a good one. We know that we are as well. I got to admit, we do have some good news here a little bit as things are starting to look really good here around the studio. Lots of changes coming in. None better, though. My changes or the studio changes aren't as good or as impressive as LSU was, though, today in reference to what they looked on offense. So last week we talked about do not be alarmed, do not be shocked. The number one thing that is going to happen early in this spring is that the LSU offense is going to look a lot better than Blake Baker in this defense day one. We will talk about day one of spring practice. What are we hearing? We also will be out there very early in the morning on Thursday when it comes to spring practice. We will touch on that, give you a little tidbits about that as well. Jay Johnson met with the media. Absolutely one of the best press conferences Jay has ever had. Without a shadow of a doubt, no questions asked, Jay Johnson had arguably one of the best press conferences that he's ever had. We will touch on that as well here tonight. Also, Angel Reese, back-to-back SEC Women Player of the Year. We will touch on that. Also, Michaela Williams is the Freshman of the Year. We'll touch on that as well. Recruiting weekend, a big junior day, a big recruiting weekend for LSU. Some things that we're hearing, Brad Davis continuing to absolutely 100% and positively demolish it in recruiting. We'll touch on that. And as we do on every Tuesday and Thursday, hashtag Ask Blake, thoughts, questions, concerns. You can bring them inside of the Rudy Crew chat. I don't know if we have anybody in Facebook here that is in the comments. Maybe Facebook is still having some issues. By the way, Facebook today, the Zuck man had some very, very bad or had a very bad day as early in the morning. Facebook and Instagram were down. So look, we are not trying. If you are on Facebook, we for whatever reason, guys, can we look into? Yes. Okay. Let's look into seeing what's up with the Facebook comments as well. We'll get in touch with that. The team is telling me they're going to be on top of that is here as well here tonight. Joseph from Rocky Mount, North Carolina, by the way of the 318, is joining us. Michael Morris, it's been a while here, buddy. Haven't seen you in a while, Michael. Spring Hill, Louisiana, the 318. 3-1 great. David Woodward says, does BK give daily pressers during spring? He does not. He will give one tomorrow, which we will be there covering it during the duration of it. But he does not. I think we got Joe Sloan, Blake Baker, maybe Cortez Hankton, and Bo. I think we have all the new coaches at one point. I don't remember. Don't quote me on that. I do know that we get Joe Sloan and Blake Baker here in the spring. Jason Brumfield said, I seen some competition in some of those highlights, and I feel like and the aggression of the group. We'll touch on it. We will touch on it. Look, nothing, at least for me, as I'm repping the home field apparel shirt here, at least for me, I am not surprised in the slightest. Quite honestly, I am a little bit shocked that everybody is surprised by some of the highlights they saw. But it is what it is. If the offense day one did not do some dominating things against the defense, we have issues, right? Like we have 1,000% issues because they are going to be much more along in this process. Guys, the terminology is not going to change. A lot of the things are not going to change, okay, with Joe Sloan, Cortez Hankton, and Brian Kelly. It's just not going to. So for that alone, I don't know what's going on here. What's up, guys? All right, they're in my ear. I don't want y'all to freak out the crew here. But they're in the ear. Let's see. We got Facebook back. Okay. We'll get to some of those comments here as well. Todd says LSU plays Southeastern tomorrow. That we do. We will be doing a post game from that game. Now, last year, our good friends of my alma mater had some issues. They got hacked. Their internet got hacked, and they couldn't stream the game last year. Thank God we were there. Nevertheless, we will be doing a post game tomorrow from there as well. Kenneth Harris Jr. says, Memphis, Tennessee, the 901 is in the building. What's good, Blake? Good to have you in here with us, Kenneth, here tonight. Paul Franks says, Phil Platt, the 337, looks like Facebook is up and running. A good friend, Paul, right here. J&J Exterminating. Yeah. Thank you to our good friend Paul here from J&J Exterminating. He says here on Facebook, Blake, good to have you in here with us tonight, Paul. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Jenner Brush, the 504, says, Todd Davis, good to have you in here, Todd. And he says, SLU just beat number 11 ECU, Blake. That they did. They got a good little squad. I think with the new coaching staff, they've turned over some things. They look good. They're not bad. Probably, I don't know who Southeastern goes with tomorrow. Now, they do play Alcorn tonight. I'm pretty sure Southeastern is playing Alcorn tonight. A little scrappy group, man. They can hit a little bit. But I would assume Cade Anderson goes tomorrow, and I don't think – it's not about me thinking. I know for a fact because I watch a lot of Southeastern stuff. They have not seen anything. They have not seen anything like that. Todd says, Kenna, bro. Hey, you spelled it wrong. Not me. I'm just reading what y'all write down. Kenna, bro. Bro, don't listen. I had a cousin. I think it's a cousin. Probably shouldn't say this. One of my cousins was the chief of police at Kenner. I got a ticket in Kenner when he was the chief of police. Can you believe that? Your boy got a ticket when his cousin was the chief of police. You can't be speeding through Kenner, bro. You can't be speeding through Kenner. If you do, they gonna get you. They gonna find you out here in the people's streets. Rick says in the 615 Nashville via the 501. Yeah, Rick, I need to make my way up to Nashville. Go see my good buddy Bill King. In the West End, I think where he is. I forget exactly where he is, but we need to go. We need to make a trip up to Nashville. Ryan says them fake cop cars in Kenner. Yeah, they'll get you. They'll get you. Paul says that sounds like Kenner. It does, man. It does. Nicky was his name, my cousin. I'm not going to give you the last name for his safety. F. Ward Montgomery says, Lafayette, Louisiana, good to have you in here, Blake. Good to be back with you here, too. Rye says, football, Blake, is back. It never really leaves, guys. Y'all leave. Football does not. We talk a lot of football on this show. We talk a lot of college football. Tomorrow morning at 11 a.m., we'll go around your SEC again. Now, I know some LSU fans have pushed back on me on that. Guys, we're going to continue to do it. We are trying to take a next step here. You're going to have to deal with it. If you don't like it, you just don't have to watch. But we talk a lot of football here. We'll talk a little bit of football tomorrow. I think we're going to head out to Texas again. And we're probably going to head to College Station. And they hate me already, but it is what it is. We're just going to tell the truth about what I think about Texas A&M. So it's going to be fun. All right. Let's get this thing rolling. I will say this. This might be some of the ending days here of the wood backdrop. Poor wood backdrop. It's been good to us. It's been great to us. But I'm excited for some things we're doing around here in the studio. All right, let's get rolling. Everybody do us a favor by hitting the like and share to all those social media groups, share to all of those social media pages. You're watching us or listening to us on YouTube. Like, subscribe, and notification bell wherever you listen to podcasts, rate, review, and subscribe. Every time you guys share, it really helps out us. It helps branch us out even further. So share to those groups, share to those pages. Every time you send a super chat, thank you guys so much for always doing that. All right, let's talk about our good friends over at betonline.ag, our good friend Tyler Alexander over at LPT Realty, and the good friends over at J&J Exterminating, who dominated day one of spring football 2024. We talk about that next. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way for you to wager on all of your favorite sports, contests, events with the first-to-market odds and lines. Find reviews for all the news for each league, including Major League Baseball, NFL, NBA, NHL, combat sports, college sports, esports, and even golf. BetOnline continues to be the top online resource for all of your sports information for live in-game betting, props, and futures. Head on over to BetOnline today and use your mobile device to join and make your first sports bet. Use our promo code BELIEVE50, that's BELIEVE50, BLEAV 50, to receive your 50% off welcome bonus on your first deposit. That's betonline.ag, betonline.ag.
He will sell your house and find you a new. Well, Tyler's the man, he's here for you. If you want to buy or sell, well, it's not too late. Dial 955-0008. Just call 955-0008. Y'all call Tyler, he'll shoot you straight.
Louisiana is unique. The food, the festivals, even the bugs. No, not mud bugs. Unwanted bugs like these. The ones you don't want crawling in your home or business. Trust the Shield from J&J Exterminating. We've been protecting Louisiana homes for over 50 years, earning the trust of our clients because we deliver what we promise. Protect your home from pests. Get the Shield from J&J Exterminating.
J&J Exterminating. Yeah.
We're back. All right. Let's get this thing rolling, y'all. So today, LSU started day one, year 3, under Brian Kelly of spring football practice. So I need to back up before we start all of this because I think that some of you who did not catch it, we need a little bit of a refresher course to get where we're going ultimately in this destination, ultimately in the destination of what we need to talk about here tonight in day one of spring football. So last week, we had mentioned that we had talked to a lot of people, Carter, Wilson, Zach, a lot of guests that have come on the show, and they have given their thoughts, some of their highlights, some of their concerns about LSU football. Now, last Thursday, I gave my thoughts and some of my highlights and concerns moving into the spring. Now, a lot of you share a lot of the same opinions, views on the team right now as it stands going into the 2024 season. But now we're here. And last week, what we had discussed, or what you and I had discussed, was the simple point of do not, under any circumstances, no matter what you see on highlights, reporting, whatever it is, do not be alarmed in the early parts of spring that this offense does not dominate, and I'm talking about completely dominate early. Guys, you have a system now that is in year 3. Now, I know you have a lot of personnel overchanging. You have Jaden Daniels, the Heisman Trophy winner that's no longer here. You have Malik Neighbors, the all-time leading receiver in LSU history, no longer here. Brian Thomas, who was tied for 3rd in the fastest time in the NFL Combine just this past week. He is no longer here. The terminology, though, offensively, what Brian Kelly wants and has and is going to accomplish is already going to continue on what they're doing on that side of the ball. Now, I think the big thing here is I think it's twofold. You want to see Garrett Nussmeier and even Ricky Collins, from what I've heard today, go out there and do some really damn good things. A lot of passes thrown, a lot of touchdowns thrown today. Aaron Anderson, the wide receiver from Edna Carr, going off. Kyron Lacey, Chris Hilton, CJ Daniels, all having really productive days. Now, I did hear that there was some pressures that this defense was getting on Garrett Nussmeier, and that Blake Baker said enough is enough. We got to start getting to the quarterback. And late into the practice, they really got after it. But Garrett Nussmeier and this offense lit it up today. There's no other way to say it. There's no other way to sugarcoat it. And we'll be out there Thursday to get our own eyeballs on this. But everything that I am hearing is that the offense dominated. Now, the key thing here, and what I don't want you to walk away from, oh my God, Matt House hasn't left LSU. The defense still sucks. Don't do that. Let me tell you why. Guys, it amazes me that I'm already starting to see this, and we have to talk about this. The defense is exactly where they probably need to be. Because now that you have an offense that is going to hit on a lot of cylinders early this spring, you want some of the things to be exposed on the defensive side of the ball for either, number one, that you have to change personnel. Number two, Blake Baker can teach and coach, and what you're paying him for to be here to be your DC, he can walk them through it. You want to be able to face off every day in practice against a prolific offense so that you can make changes. And if you got to move guys, if you got to get personnel moved, that's exactly what spring practice is for. What we talked about last week, which has already started today, guys, the offense is going to start very hot, very quickly like they did. The only thing that I want to see from the defense this spring is flashes. I want to see them get after the quarterback a little bit. I want to see them break up some passes. I want to see the aggressiveness that I know that Blake Baker is going to bring. Now, it's day one. It's day one. The thing that I take away in all this is the thing that I always felt would be what we would look forward to in the spring. Guys, I really just don't know, quite honestly, if you're going to take a step back offensively because Jaden Daniels is not here. That's not even a question. The thing that I'm struggling with and need to see this spring with my own eyes to make my own opinions is I'm just not sure how far of a step back that you take. Because I think you have the best offensive line in the SEC. I can make the argument that you might not have the experience where you don't have a lot of guys that, Chris Hilton's experience, but he doesn't have necessarily all the game reps. CJ Daniels is experienced, but he hasn't been here. This is year 3 for a guy like Aaron Anderson who caught not one, but 2 touchdown passes today. You have a guy like Xavion Thomas who is in year 3, who I heard is they're just going to try to throw the ball, get him out in space and say, go make plays, go make it happen. I'm not 1,000% sold that you're not going to throw the ball all over the place. I'm not 1,000% sold, especially this spring with a new quarterback, a new era going in post Jaden Daniels, and the limitations right now, depth-wise, that you have at running back, because Josh Williams didn't participate a lot today. It was Caleb Jackson and walk-ons. They're going to throw the ball all over the place, which makes a couple of things happen. Your DBs got to get better. Your coaches defensively are going to have to really be hands-on and working here. But I just don't know how far of a step back you take. Now, The question will become, and where I do ultimately believe the step back that you take is in the running game. Now, Brian Kelly had mentioned that they will go to more pro-style runs. They'll go under center. And by the way, people arguing with Brian Kelly about, oh, we can't run, we can't get under center. It's too outdated. You do realize that the last three national champions legitimately, or last three national title winners, I should say, because Georgia won it in back-to-back years, both of those teams in all three of those years ran the football from under center, and they dominated. You have an offensive line that's built that can do that. So I look at all of this and say, maybe you take a little bit of a step back in the running game because Jaden is not there. And the passing game, I'm not 1,000% sold with all the weapons that you have, how far of a step back you take. Now, will Garrett Nussmeier make more mistakes than Jaden Daniels did last year or the last 2 years? 1,000%. 1,000%. He has not seen the game action and not had the game reps that Jaden did. You're going to have to live with it. If Garrett Nussmeier throws for 35 touchdowns and 8 interceptions, who gives a flying Rudy Poo? Who gives a flying Rudy Poo? But defensively, guys, I don't know what else to tell you. I think you're in a situation where you have a lot of good coaches that are going to have to develop, and you have a lot of good and young personnel that you're going to have to bring up to speed quickly. Because if you continue to struggle in the secondary, you're going to have to pull guys and try to plug and play. And look, this isn't anything that I am saying. You saw it for yourself in some of the highlights that LSU released today. Guys, Aaron Anderson beat Sage Ryan twice in the end zone for touchdowns. Now, we don't know the route. We don't know what happened. We have the film that says that he did. If that's going to happen, you're going to have to get some of these young guys in here, get them up to speed quickly, and see what happens. And that's not – I'm not trying to put down on Sage, but you got to overhaul everything that you did last year. If there was a guy that started last year, look, man, you got to battle for your spot in this one. The only person that has a spot on this defense, a starting spot on this defense, is Harold Perkins. That's it. Everybody else is going to need a fight for their job and fight for their lives. And I got to tell you, if you think that Garrett Nussmeier is not going to light you up, by the way, Ricky Collins today, I mean, the streets are humming that Ricky Collins got off a little bit along with A.J. Swan, the transfer from Vandy. I'm just so excited and so amped up to be out there on Thursday to see with our own eyes, how much from even a day one to a day two, Blake Baker can get this team rolling. Look, they'll be in film study tomorrow. They'll go over a lot of different things that I'm sure that they missed and try to get this terminology down and feel out what Blake Baker is trying to teach them and the defense that he wants to run. But bottom line here is, for me, do not freak out about the offense dominating the defense early. It was going to happen. Guys, there's going to be a lot of reports this spring that that's going to happen a lot. You have too much talent and too much experience along this offense, along the offensive line and at quarterback. Guys, this is year 4 for Garrett Nussmeier. Year 4 for Garrett Nussmeier. If they would have came out today and laid an egg, I mean, I don't know what the thoughts would have been for me. But this is just not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. Okay. Let's get to a couple of your comments here. Dane says, hey, Blake, I'm going on IR, but we'll be back in time for football and duck season. Well, that stinks because Dane's one of our great listeners. Cole Adams says, Blake, I like you doing around the SEC. Those schools have scholarship players too. It's good to know what you got to beat. Some folks can't handle the truth. Yeah, they get mad at me about that, man. They get mad about they get mad with me about that. Brandon Reese says, I'm interested to see J.K. Johnson, who did start today, and Jair Brown would be the other outside corner. What I can tell you is today it was J.K. Johnson on one side and Ashton Stamps on the other. That's the only thing that I was really told. Sage, in there with and some of the nickel type of deals and things that they were running. And look, I got to admit, I mean, this isn't something that I'm saying. Most of you saw it for yourselves. Who's going to be that wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3? Hell, who's going to be wide receiver 1? But if Aaron Anderson starts putting things together, watch out. Watch out. Because he is as electric as it comes. And I got to say to all these wide receivers, if you don't have your head on the swivel, Garrett's going to throw that thing to you. Come hell or high water, he's going to force things, and you got to be ready. It doesn't bother me really that Sage got beat. Now, I don't think he was in man-to-man coverage. You know, it looked like from the small things that I saw and some things that I heard that they played some zone. They did try to do some man stuff. I'm not worried about them. I'm not worried anything about defense right now. I think it's way too early for you to be panicking or saying, well, oh, man, this is bad. This is really bad. You got to give them time, man. You got to give them time to figure out what they have. I'm old enough to remember that even in year 1, when you had these installs. Now, LSU offensively would have a really good day and then a really bad one. It's going to be different here. I mean, guys, you're talking about potentially a top 10 defense or top 10 offense that's having to battle and learn on the fly against a really high octane unit. It's not a big of a deal, at least to me. As some make it out to be. Danny Girl says, tell them, Blake, RELAX. It is early, and that is how development works. If you see offensive dominance in fall, then we can be a little concerned. Danny, I'll be honest with you. Yes, RELAX, relax. But I do need to see flashes here spring. Now, this is not to what Danny's saying, but just to add on to it, for me, I need to see some pass breakups. I need to see some sacks. Like, you're going to have to win some of these one-on-one battles because what I think they're going to do, okay, and I think they did this a little bit today, and they'll continue to do it. A lot of these guys, they're going to put man-to-man coverage. They're going to put on an island and let the best man win. And I think they need to, because you got to find your best 22. And who says you got to do that in the fall? Like, everybody says, oh, spring is, it's just spring football. The bullshit. That is the biggest lie that anyone will ever tell you. Let's go find the best 22 and start getting them ready for the season. Because, I got to tell you, look now, you're going on potentially a year 4 where you did not win in your opening game. I'm tired of getting my ass kicked in week 1. I'm tired of it. It starts now. It starts now. You know what's interesting, too? I don't know if y'all saw this. I might be able to bring up this tweet, but, year 3 under Brian Kelly, historically, wherever he's gone, has been very special. At Central Michigan in year 3, Brian Kelly was 9-4, and they won the division. They won their division. In year 3 at Cincinnati, they were 12-0. And they won their conference and went to a a New Year's 6 game. In year 3 at Notre Dame, Brian Kelly was competing for a national title against Alabama. What happens here? Now, I will tell you, BK has said that this is the year, and it's got to start now. I think, and some of the things that we've heard from BK, the overall had to happen. We got to get better on defense. But look, we got to lock down the state, which he did, by the way. No one really gave him credit for that because of how bad the defense was. But we got to lock the state down, And we got to get better defensively. We got to be better schematically on defense. And I think that they will. You know, what's interesting is when you look at Brian Kelly as a whole, this might be one of the worst coordinator hires that he's made in Matt House, maybe in his career. But Mike Elko, who he had as a DC, is the head coach of Texas A&M. Clark Lee is the head coach at Vandy. Marcus Freeman is the head coach at Notre Dame. Blake Baker, guys, is an up-and-comer. He is a riser. Did he strike gold again? And I will tell you, man, we have such a long time to get here and talk about this. If you're a top 35, 40 defense, guys, you're in the playoff. And I'm going to continue to say that. I'm going to continue to say that. But everywhere that Brian Kelly has been in year 3, it's been special for him. Can that happen here? Will that happen here? Can he get to a Final Four? Can he win the SEC? And guys, I got to tell you, like he's mentioned, his clock is ticking. It's ticking. So yeah, there's 179 of you on YouTube. Yeah, all 129 of you, or 179 of you, excuse me. Y'all better hit that like and share, man. Y'all better hit that like and share. Don't be a Rudy Poo. Hit that like and share. Down South Trees on YouTube says we cannot let Ole Miss beat us. We cannot. And look, we talked about this down south on or around the SEC. Ole Miss has a very generous schedule. I actually got it in my notebook right here. Hold on. Let me pull up Ole Miss's schedule right here. So Ole Miss has Furman, Middle Tennessee, at Wake Forest, Georgia Southern, Kentucky. So the first half of the season for Ole Miss, they are going to be 6-0. Then they go to South Carolina and then to Baton Rouge, to LSU. They're going to drop one of those 2 games. Is that going to be you? Ole Miss is going to lose either at South Carolina or in Death Valley. Is it going to be you? Then they got Oklahoma, Arkansas, Georgia, loss. At Florida, sneaky game. I don't care that Billy Napier is going to be fired and sucks. Sneaky game going into Ben Hill Griffin Stadium. And then they got the Egg Bowl to round it out against Mississippi State. They're going to be a good team, man. They are a playoff potential team. If they don't make a playoff, it's a bust for them. But you're right. You cannot lose to them. Josh Greer says, or what, Blake? What do you mean, or what? What do you mean, or what? If what you're asking is if Brian Kelly doesn't make it to the playoff, or what, then birds start chirping around Baton Rouge. I'm just being honest. Look, it's not. Guys, listen, I like Brian Kelly a lot, like a hell of a lot. I think he is and will succeed here. But you know how it is around here. I ain't got to tell you, majority, 95% of you are from here. Hell, probably 99% of you are from here. You know exactly what I mean. If he goes out there and goes 9-3, misses a playoff, birds will chirp. It doesn't matter. He looked forward into year 3. He's been successful everywhere he's gone. Year 3, it won't matter what I say. It would not matter because fans will chirp. So it is a playoff or bust for them. Now, he ain't gonna get fired. That shit ain't gonna happen. It's just not. It's playoff or bust, and they got to get rolling. They got to get rolling. Brandon says we have a better chance to beat Ole Miss than South Carolina. I vehemently disagree with that, Brandon. Vehemently disagree with that. South Carolina is in serious trouble. Shane Beamer's in serious trouble. They do not have the personnel. You think you got bad personnel? They have bad personnel. Now, where I would agree with you is that South Carolina, that game being in Columbia, I mean, hostile environment, yeah, on the road. If you lose that game, it's because you shot yourself in the foot. They cannot beat you. They cannot line up and beat you. Ole Miss can line up and beat you, whether it be in Baton Rouge, whether it be in a neutral field, whether it be in Oxford. They can line up and beat you and smile while they do it. They are, on paper, they are that talented. And you don't want to hear that. That's fine. You can be mad at me all you would want to. On paper, they are just as talented as you are. I think that you are more talented in certain areas on defense. I think you do ultimately. I do think that you will have a better secondary than them. I'm going to take my shot in the dark on that. I do think that you'll have a better linebacking core than them. Where they got you is what they'll do on the defensive line. Where you counteract that is that you have 5 Willie Mammoths up front: Will Campbell, Emory Jones, Garrett Dellinger, DJ Chester, Miles Frazier, that has stopped them before and will probably do it again. That's the counteract to that. And you're in Death Valley probably at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. In Death Valley, it's going to smell like bourbon. STTDB is going to be sung 3,000 times that night. But South Carolina cannot line up and beat you. They cannot do it. You're going to have to beat yourself. You're going to have to beat yourself. All right, a couple more, then we'll move forward. Josh Greer says, what style of defense are they coming out with? Look, I'm going to continue to give this as my opinion, but I want to get my eyes on it Thursday and confirm it, okay? I think they're going to be very multiple. I think because of the defensive line depth issues, they're going to have to move more to a 3-3-5 stack and do some more of those things. Today, though, it did not confuse Garrett Nussmeier. No sirree. And you know what's interesting? This is the first time that Garrett Nussmeier – here's something that we need to talk about too, especially about Garrett. Garrett knows, or Nussmeier knows, the personnel that LSU has. He has a connection with Kyron Lacey more than anybody on this team because they rolled together. They ran a lot together. You know, Kyron a lot of times would run with twos, even though he was a starter last year. But in practice, we get a lot of reps with Nuss. That connection that they have, I think, is really special. Where I think it is, how do I want to say this? It is a massive positive that Garrett Nussmeier saw a Blake Baker defense day one, start one, and dominated. It's also really impressive that Ricky Collins threw 3 balls in the back of the end zone on fade routes. Bam, touchdown. I know for a fact that happened today. So, whatever they're running, it didn't confuse your quarterbacks. And Joe Sloan being your OC didn't confuse the shit out of them. Look, and Corey's got an uphill battle. Corey Raymond's got an uphill battle. There's no bones about it. So does Bo Davis. The only one that has, Blake Baker, and I would make an argument, maybe even at the safety position with Coach Olson. They have a lot of talent in those rooms. Corey and Bo got their work cut out for them. Now, they're supposed to, you bring those guys in here for a reason. That is what you had told me. You brought in Bo for a specific reason. You brought in Corey. You brought Corey back for a specific reason. Doesn't stop the fact that they got a massive uphill battle. It doesn't stop the fact that I don't think, quite honestly, you can grade them year one. What you going to say about Bo Davis at the D-line, interior of the D-line struggles? Oh, they didn't develop. I mean, it's not his guys. He's going to have to get his personnel in here. Now, he's going to have to go probably get DTs from the portal, and Corey might have to get a corner or two. I don't know how they're going to do this, but I don't think you're not done in the portal. You're just not. So they got an uphill battle. But nothing Garrett Nussmeier saw today stopped him, Kyron Lacy, Aaron Anderson, CJ Daniels, and Chris Hilton from it didn't stop them. I have a very sneaky suspicion we're going to go out Thursday. It's going to be a lot of the same. I just want to see flashes. I want to see a pick. I want to see a sack. I want to see one of these young guys make a play. That's all. That's all I ask for here. That's all I ask for. In reference to the 3-3-5, boy, wouldn't that be something? Wouldn't that be something? Let's see. Brandon Reese, couple more. I meant was Ole Miss losing to us is more likely than Ole Miss losing to South Carolina. I feel you there. Okay. Got it mixed up there. Anthony B. Saint says Lacy could easily be wide receiver 1. Let's have a conversation about him. Look, I don't, and this goes to Kyron and this goes to Cortez. I know that Malik Neighbors had a massive year. I know that Brian Thomas Jr. had a massive year last year. I just don't know if Kyron Lacy's development wasn't just as equally as big. Development, not saying impact, development. Guys, that game against Alabama, that play against Alabama at the end of the first half, guys, that is elite shizite. Like that was an elite play. I mean, he had a couple. The play against Texas A&M, the fade route in the back of the end zone, some of the things that he did against Ole Miss. The thing that Kyron's got to work on, and he said it himself publicly, is the drops. That's it. I think from a physical aspect, in a physical tool, you're not going to find a better wide receiver that is more physical than he is. Guys, he is a mismatch. He is a mismatch. Here's what I would say as of March the 5th, 2024, the year of our Lord. Do I think that Kyron Lacy can be your wide receiver 1? Without a shadow of a doubt. I do think that he's got to work on some things, but I think he's just so talented, man. I really am there with him. I think there's a lot to be said, okay, which we don't ever talk about at all. He's an amazing blocker. He's selfless. Guys, the Malik Neighbors touchdown, the last touchdown that he had that got called back against Texas A&M, the only reason he scored was because Kyron Lacy body bagged 2 Aggies. Body bagged. He was body bagging dudes against Ole Miss. He body bagged, like when our team breaks the film down on Sunday, a former OC, myself, and a couple of people on our team. When we break the games down on Sundays, I had a former older gentleman, offensive coordinator, has been an offensive guy probably, was it 25 years of calling plays in college? And he's more – he says he would say every week, Kyron Lacy's the best blocker on this team, and Will Campbell plays. He loves Kyron Lacy. Could he be wide receiver 1? Yes. The connection that he has with Garrett Nussmeier, I do think has shown early signs of what we saw with Jaden and Malik. Now, if you remember 2 years on this show, go and look at any post-practice show that we did. I came out and Jaden Daniels is probably 7th or 8th practice and said the connection between him and Kayshon Boutte, no good. The connection between him and Malik is something special, though. I do get that same vibe with him and with Garrett and Kyron. I think he trusts Kyron a lot. I really do. the big time drops in very clutch situations have to stop. They got to stop. SNA says, how do the linebackers look? Didn't really hear a lot about them today. Didn't really hear a lot about Harold Perkins. We'll have to wait until Thursday on that one. CJ Daniels is another guy too that I look at and say that we just got to see what his impact will be. He could easily be your wide receiver 1-2. He is that talented. So again, pretty much in this wrap up, offense dominated today. Defense has to continue to push forward, and we'll see how they do. And we'll be out there Thursday to do it. Anthony Hall says huge drops. Yeah, he had some big ones. He's got to clean that up. I mean, he's got to clean that up. And Chris Hilton's got to stay healthy through a year. I'll be the first to say it. You know how much I love Chris Hilton. I love that kid, legitimately. He's got to stay healthy. Okay. Let's do this. We got some more LSU stuff that we need to talk about. We're going to do this. I need to talk about Jay Johnson and his update, and we're going to do this. So stay with us, because if you have questions about day one or football, baseball, whatever, in about 7 or 8 minutes, we're going to field all of your questions. So stay with us. You have some football questions, you can fire them in. Let's take a quick break. Let's pay some bills around this thing. Stay with it. Guys, you might know my good friend Carol Falls and all the great service that he provides over at State Farm. He is your good neighbor after all. But did you know State Farm has surprisingly great rates as well? Along with the great neighbor service, State Farm agent Carol Falls has surprisingly great rates for everyone inside the state of Louisiana. So call him today at 985-395-4300, 985-395-4300 for all of those surprisingly great rates on auto, home, and life insurance needs. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there, and individual premiums will vary by customer. All applicants subject to the State Farm underwriting requirements.
By the Drake Williams Law Firm, drakewilliamslawfirm.com. Whether you've been injured in an accident, you're preparing for a future with your estate planning, you're getting ready to close in on a real estate deal, or you're about to welcome a new addition through adoption into your family, or you're facing criminal charges, you need very experienced attorneys, and that is what the Drake Williams Law Firm will be able to do for you in navigating the legal system. The door to their cozy office in historic downtown Ponchatoula has been open since 1981. They have helped thousands and thousands of Louisiana families and individuals win cases, close on real estate deals, and regain that peace of mind. Their lawyers over at the Drake Williams Law Firm, Ernie Drake III, Ryan J. Williams, and Summer Vignair, are very determined, compassionate, and dedicated to their craft. It's the Drake Williams Law Firm, drakewilliamslawfirm.com. Give them a call today at 985-386-7600. Tell them your good friend Blake Ruffino at AYS sent you on by.
J&J has protected Louisiana homes and businesses for over 60 years.
Call him today, make the pests go away. J&J Exterminating. Yeah.
All right. Jay Johnson, LSU head baseball coach, met with the media today. Very quickly, there's one big thing that I want to mention before we wrap the show up and finish with some football stuff. Jay meeting with the media today, I think the biggest thing that you take away from what Jay said, if you haven't listened to the press conference, we have some clips or the big time clips on our YouTube channel. You can go there, go to the shorts, and they're all there. Jay was pretty much asked a question about his pitching staff, and he said, listen, what he probably means is in his career, he has never had 4 better starts than he has had in this past week from his starting pitching. That coming from Cade Anderson on Wednesday against Rice, that being Luke Holman, who was just absolutely ridiculously good on Friday against incoming SEC team. That being Saturday, where Gates Jump through 5 innings only gives up a infield hit. That's all he gave up, which was a bloop single to Braswell, which was a tough play. And then obviously Thatcher Hurd and what he did on Sunday versus Texas State. Guys, the question has to start being asked, and I think Jay threw it out there by saying this: is this the best overall staff in the SEC? Now, Jay would go on to talk about that, look, the starting pitching is great, and what we're doing there is fantastic. What we're doing in the bullpen is going to get us where we're going to go, and he's not wrong. The reason that you won a national title last year, even though that you had Paul Skeens, generational, even though you had Dylan Cruz, generational, even though you had senior leaders like Gavin Dugas and Cade Beloso, legends at LSU, the reason you won was how clutch your bullpen was down the stretch. Riley Cooper, Griffin Herring, whoever it was that they propelled you. Remember you playing Wake Forest and getting to the 11th inning, your bullpen did not allow a run. They were as lights out as you could get. And you got a really solid one. You know, I see a lot of people talking about Christian Little. Like me and the team were talking today. What are y'all talking about with Christian Little? Like, what are y'all talking about? The dude is light years better this year than he was a year ago. He's throwing strikes. He's getting dudes out. He's throwing in the high 90s. Yeah, he had one back-to-back performance, and that second performance last week, or 2 weeks ago, excuse me, the second one didn't go so well for him. Okay. But once Uoa comes in with the Riley Fingers mustache, it's over. You know, when you talk about a champion and you talk about being a repeat champion and remaining on that mountaintop of being the champion, one thing always comes, or at least what fans and media always do, can they remain there? Guys, do you know this time last year and this year, you have the same record? Holman and Skeens about the same statistical record or bill or whatever stats. I'm not saying that this team can win it all because, again, you had a Skeens, you had a Cruz, you had a Tanks. But, man, when you can pitch the way that they have, and you're going to find out quickly. Look, you're not – guys, we're not too far along here in SEC play starts. You're going to find this out very quickly. But what we've found out through 15 games plus, guys, I don't know if you're not on a collision course to go back to Nebraska and go back to Omaha. I really don't. And I think that Jay, who chooses his words very carefully, is starting to feel that way too. You got to continue to get some of the same dominant pitching from Holman and Jump. I think that you will. But guys, are we going to be sitting here in June again? We're going to be sitting here in July again. And you're in Omaha trying to go and win another national title. If they do that, when they do that, if they do that. Guys, if they get back to Omaha, the dynasty is formed. Now, God bless it if Jay wins a second national title, especially if he wins it back-to-back. Okay. Let's see if we got any questions in here.
Daiquiris at Bayou Bowl and Go is on.
That's on me. That's on me. That's on me. If you do have a question, you can fire them inside the Rudy Crew chat. Yeah. You can fire them inside the Rudy Crew chat, hashtag Ask Blake's, or hashtag Ask Blake, and we'll bring it up. But I was really encouraged today by what I heard from Jay Johnson. Todd Davis says, through 3 starts at LSU, Paul Skeens was 3-0, a .50 ERA, a .50 whip, 18 innings pitched, 36 strikeouts, 3 walks, a 100 opposing batting average. Luke Holman through 3 starts. He's 3-0, a 0 ERA, a .56 whip, 18 innings pitched, 30 Ks, 2 walks. Guys, I wish right now, like I could take this and erase the names away from it, right? Like I wish the stats that Todd just gave, that I could just erase those names and tell y'all to pick one. Who is it? Dude, Luke Holman has been freaking amazing. I got to be a little real. I probably shouldn't say this, but I'm a little shocked. I knew we saw Luke Holman a lot last year. I thought he was one of the best pitchers in the SEC last year. I got to admit, I did not see this coming. I was a little nervous about him going up against Texas. Look, let's just see what he does here. You know, let's see how good he's been flawless. He has been so freaking good. You know, it's funny. People were like, you know, after the national championship, they're like, oh, man, I guess Jay didn't really go in the portal and get a lot of guys. Yeah, y'all better be quiet about the Portal King now. Portal King will come and get you. Y'all better be quiet about the Portal King. All right, we got 2 here from Brandon Reese. He says, ask Blake, what do you think about the secondary with J.K. Johnson, Jair Brown at the boundary, Toviano at nickel? I don't like that. Sage Ryan and Jordan Gilbert at safety. I don't like Toviano at nickel. I don't like him at nickel. I don't mind anything else that you just said there, really, Brandon. I just don't like Toviano in the nickel. I don't really think, and I got to be honest with you, and we'll find this out on Thursday, I don't know if they're going to have a traditional nickel. Now, let me tell you what I think they're going to do. And a lot of you are going to hate this. I would not be shocked if Major Burns isn't playing along the line of scrimmage. That's not me saying that. I know people are going to get pissed. But Major Burns led your team in most disruptive plays last year from at the line of scrimmage or behind. It's like 17 or 19 disruptive plays. I just wouldn't be surprised. I don't know what's going on with this thing. All right, we're trying to figure out something. I'm trying to figure something out in the new studio here. It's all right. All right, let's take some more of your questions. You have questions, hashtag Ask Blake. We'll get to as many of them as we can here. All right, hold on. Brandon also asked, he just asked the same question twice. Okay. Devin says, Ask Blake, do you think Jump or Hurd becomes your number 2 starter? So, Devin, I think it's Gage Jump. I would not – look, Gage Jump has continued every single week to – give you dominating performances. There's just no way in blue hell I don't roll out Holman, Jump. I honestly thought, and I was wrong in this, I thought that they would go – we talked on Monday. I thought that they were going to go Jump on Friday. I really did. I 100% did. They didn't. They went with him on Saturday, and he looked flawless. God, dog it, did he look flawless. I go – Holman, Jump, Hurd. And here's another question. If Cade, let me say this too. If Cade Anderson dominate Southeastern tomorrow, which I think he's going to, like I would not be shocked if he did. Southeastern can hit a little bit now, a little bit better than Rice. If Cade Anderson dominates on Wednesday, we got to have a discussion. Now, Hurd didn't give up a run, technically, because he had some piss poor play behind him on Sunday. But, man, shit. It's a fantastic problem to have, man. This is what happens when you bring in multiple number one classes together. This is what happens when you bring in dominating portal classes. By the way, speaking of recruiting, we do need to talk about recruiting before we get out of here. So LSU is going to have a massive weekend in recruiting. They'll bring in a lot of juniors. I do think Brad Davis, I'm going to give it a little hint, hint, wink, wink. Go over to the forum. We're going to type something up tomorrow. Now that the dead period's over, we're going to give you something tomorrow on recruiting. Here's what I'll leave you with that. A lot of people are putting in picks. Just be cautious. Not all of it means that people have committed. I was told today that no new commitments happened today. Brad Davis is about to get rolling again. And they're going to continue to add big-time pieces to the number one overall class in 2025. I think the staff, and Brian Kelly confirmed this, don't be alarmed. Brian Kelly look at the dead period. Let's settle. Let's just, maintain, get ready for spring. This weekend starts a dominating run and what they're going to do in recruiting. And then trying to maintain that number one overall class, I think that they can do it. Anthony B. Saint says, Blake, what is your thoughts on Bayou Barbie staying with the impact of NIL these days? I wouldn't mind it. I don't think that she does, but I wouldn't mind it. Hell no, I wouldn't mind it. Hell no. To the no. Hell to the no. I would not mind her staying. But I understand if she moves on, and she probably does. I mean, she needs to start a pro career if that's what she wants to do. But the problem is she's probably not going to make more money. She ain't going to. That's the sad truth. Randy Smith says, can we see the next Josh Williams this spring with the walk-on running backs? Let me say this. Guys like Josh Williams are a dime a dozen. You might get one a decade. Maybe one a decade. Do I think that you can? Sure, you could. Yeah, you could. The likelihood of that happening is slim to hell no. Slim to hell no, it ain't gonna happen. Humbug, not humbruh, but Humbug says, I like Burns down around the line. I do too. And Rick echoes that. He says that Major Burns are going to wreak havoc on offenses this year. If he stays close to the line, I think that he could. He's just not that type of safety that you see back there in the middle third. Let me say this, and I don't want to be this. I don't say this as an indication of negativity towards Brian Kelly, but Matt House putting Major Burns in the middle third on pass plays, making him cover some of these dudes in the slot is why he got fired. I mean, it's why he got fired. And what's so nuts about that, in 22, Major played along the line of scrimmage a lot. So dumb. So dumb. All right, a couple more before we get out of here. Rick says, Blake, talk about the depth on the LSU baseball team. We got some great non-starters. Well, I think Ashton Larson, is a guy that I think is going to be your 12th guy moving in here, 13th guy moving in here. Jay continues to bring up Ashton Larson in conversations, and he's a non-starter. So anytime Jay brings up a guy that's not starting, I would not be surprised if Ashton Larson, maybe in one of these midweeks, maybe gets a start at DH. Maybe let Milazzo, maybe let Neal sit a game or two, get some rest. Going into a weekend, let Ashton Larson maybe play first, maybe DH, and let Bear, maybe even let Bear DH and let Larson play first, and see what you got there. But look, your depth is ridiculous. Like you did, to my memory, I mean, like you still got guys in the pen like Aiden Moffitt, who guys might be your 7th, 8th, 9th guy out of, or maybe 5th, 6th, 7th guy out of the pen. If that's your 7th guy out of the pen, guys, you have the staff to win a national title. Arkansas has a really solid pitching staff. They do not have what you have in the bullpen. They don't. I'm telling you, they don't. I've watched Arkansas just almost as much as I've watched LSU because they're potentially supposed to be the number 1 team in the country. They do not have your bullpen. They got McIntyre, a couple of big hard throwing righties that probably, have sex with hogs in the off season. That's about it. They probably name the room that they make love with them in Timon and Puma, for all I know. But you have the most talent, in my opinion, from top to bottom, staff-wise in the SEC. All right, last one. Cole Adams says, can Jordan Gilbert set the back end of our defense like Greg Brooks did last year? Well, you're probably talking about in 2022. Can he? Yeah. And look, I don't think people – and look, if I get a chance to ask a question tomorrow, my first question to Brian Kelly is, are you incorporating the helmet, the microphones in the helmets defensively? Are you already starting that? And I think you get better communication there just off the start because of that. All right. We're out of here. Everybody do us a favor. Hit the like and share. Don't be a Rudy Poo. Hit the like and share. Thank you so much for joining us. Just out the door, thank you to our guys and our friends, John Patton over at GMFS Mortgage. If you're buying a new home, saving money, the mortgage that you have now, or even doing that cash out refi, the timing has never been better. Let them know that Blake at AYS sent you on by. We will see you guys tomorrow in the post game. Tomorrow morning, 11 a.m. around your SEC. Looking forward to that. Y'all have a good night. Peace.